Yeah. So I've had a number of diseases over time. Yeah. No STDs, but I've had a number of diseases over time, right? And so, I've caught in dengue, I've had malaria, I've had schistosomiasis, I've had leptospirosis, I've had micromarinum, I've had, I've had a lot from nature. So the one that I almost died in, and this was with the film shoot with Discovery, was leptospirosis. And the way I believe I'd got that, I was going for those. It's called like a water monitor, those big Asian water monitors, and we were on like the back end of like a farming kind of area, and the water was essentially like grey water, where there's a lot of effluent and like all that kind of stuff. Once again, I was just that immortality kind of like nothing can kill me kind of phase.
How old were you?
24. 25 at the time. And so here I was duck diving, in and out of the weeds and all that kind of stuff, trying to get these water monitors and, going under the water and all that sort of thing. And I must have accidentally ingested some of that water. And it was, like most of your zoonotic diseases, it's going to take, an incubation period of 4 or 5 days until it kicks in. And I remember when it kicked in, so the guy, Kieran O'Donnell, he was there with me and he just sensed it. He goes, "There's something not right about you, eh?" I said, "No, man, I'm feeling pretty ill, pretty sick." He goes, "Yeah, maybe you're dehydrated." So we went to a Vietnamese hospital, and the doctors are walking around with like no shoes. It's like blood on the ground. It's bad. You ever been to a Vietnam hospital in the north?
I haven't.
It's bad. Proper bad. It's like cats like walking through the surgery room and stuff. I'm like, fucking,
Jesus Christ.
Pass me the scalpel, and it's like a monkey that's doing that.
Oh God.
No, it's bad. And so I ended up in hospital there. I remember I went through 2 bags of IV, and then Kieran was like, "Oh, well, that should do the trick." Went back there to the hostel. And all of a sudden, my body just dropped again and dropped again and dropped again. And essentially, my body was just shutting down. Ended up going to the hospital, was there for, I think, 3 or 4 days. And they were just giving me what's called like shotgun therapy, which is essentially they're just giving you every kind of antibiotic under the sun and trying to get your body up. And it did. I think for about a week, it done it. And I was fine. Finished off the shoot, got to Australia. In Arnhem Land, which is a really remote part of Australia. And the first day of filming was me going out and trying to catch a donkey. And I remember I'm running after this, because there's plenty of wild donkeys out there. I'm running after this donkey. And I just collapsed. And then Kieran once again was like, "What the fuck's going on? There's something going on. There's something like more sinister going on here." And I remember he literally like picked me up and carried me to the buggy. He was like, "We need to get him to hospital now." And I remained in hospital for just over a week there, fighting leptospirosis. I don't know what antibiotic they ended up giving me. It was all obviously IV.
Jesus Christ.
But I remember shutting down. The scariest part about this was they didn't know what it was, and they ended up flying a specialist doctor from the CDC from Darwin down because they had actually suspected that I'd caught rabies.
Oh, really?
Yep, because I was catching all these weird and wonderful animals through Asia, getting scratched, bitten up and all that kind of stuff. And the doctor there was like, "Hey, like this guy's had some interactions, like his signs and symptoms are very, it was like almost like zombification like rabies is." And they ended up flying down a doctor. And you know what's scary about this, Annie? Imagine this. You're on the bed, you're dying. And you're in a dark room, you're in the biohazard room, and a lady walks in. And the first thing she says is it okay if I can turn on the lights? And I just like nodded. I was she turned the light on and she goes, "Andrew, I'm just going to pour you a glass of water. Can you have a drink?" And in the smallest amount of energy that I had, I said to her, "You've just tested for 2 things." And she stopped and looked at me. I said, "You've just tested for my reaction to light, and now you've tested my reaction to drink water." I said, "These are the 2 things that you test for when someone's going for the early stages of rabies." I said to her, "If you're telling me I've got rabies," I said, "we both know I'm dying on this bed." She didn't say anything.
Oh, wow. Dude, the survival rate of rabies is like very low, right?
It's like 99.9% like death rate. And I think there's one lady that survived it here in the US, and the only way they were able to bring her back was they put her into an induced coma and let her body ride it out. But even then, I think she had ongoing problems. I think she might have made a full recovery now, but I think there's only been like 1 or 2 people in the world to ever survived rabies. I will mention that I had pre-exposure, my prophylaxis. I did have pre-exposure, but when I got bitten and scratched by these animals, I didn't have the post-exposure, which you're supposed to have. Post-exposure essentially being that once you've been bitten or scratched, it's on day 0 that you've been bitten. You have an injection at day 7 and day 21. I believe there's 3 injections that you have. And then, then that counts as any kind of infection of like rabies. So
as long as you get the injection right away.
That's correct. If you've never had the injection, then I believe it's 6 injections right there, all in one. So, there's obviously a very effective vaccine for it, but you just need to make sure that you take the right procedures in that protocol of how to take a medication.
Wow.
But, that was, people say with the animals, the fear of the animals, not the fear of the animals. The animals, you can deal with.
It's the shit that you can't see, the microbes.
That's where it's terrifying.
So tell the story about what you caught from the can.
Oh, no, so that was the story that I was saying. So there was a story in America many years ago where a rat had actually pissed over like a bunch of cans and she'd drunk it and she was able to get leptospirosis
that's way. Not how you actually caught it?
No, I got it from duck diving.
Right.
So when I was in the rivers in that murky water, that's how I'd caught lepto.
But your dad always told you to wipe off the can.
Right, exactly.
Because the rats piss on it.
Right.
But, have you heard of toxoplasmosis?
Yes, I have, yeah.
That's another thing that rats have.
Yes.
Weird disease.
Bad.
Weird as fuck. That's why pregnant people can't go around kitty litter. Pregnant women.
Really?
Yeah, because they're afraid they'll get toxo.
There was another story in Australia, I thought this was an interesting one, where it's like a typical Australian thing, to be, bet to do something stupid. And these guys were having a bit of a barbecue and there was a slug and he said to his mate, he goes, "Oh, I'll give you $10 if you swallow that slug." As you do, right? And so anyway, he's put this slug in his mouth and, he's probably got like a corona and like swallowed it down and they all had a good laugh. Anyway, a couple of days later, he ends up in hospital and they're trying to track down what's happened to this young man. And, they're obviously calling his mates and being like, has he been taking any drugs? Is there anything out of the normal? And da-da-da. Eventually, one of the guys said, "Fuck, well, he did swallow a slug a couple of days ago." And then all of a sudden, like, bing. So slugs can carry, particularly if they've, I think it's, once again, through rats, I think like that's just the main vector. If they've been feasting on like rat feces, there's a parasite that they can ingest, which is called, it's like a type of, the name of it's called rat lungworm. Okay, it's a parasite. And essentially, once that parasite start developing in you, once again, it's like an automatic shutdown of the body. And he died.
Dude.
He died from this.
No,
that's another rat lung. Yeah, is that it there? Rat lung.
Sorry, I clicked off of it.
That's the one.
Angiostrongylus cantonensis. Wow, rat lungworm, also known, that word I just said, disease that affects the brain and spinal cord. Ooh, that's
terrifying, man.
Oh yeah.
And even in Australia, we've got a form of rabies which is called. It's just lost my mind. What's it called? Lyssavirus, which is essentially like a strain of like rabies that we have in Australia, and that's spread through bats. And so that's another thing. I won't touch bats. So.
Really?
Oh, any other animal? Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go. Bat. No.
So those are the only animals that you're afraid of.
I will not.
The parasites that you can't see.
Because I've seen it. Like I said, I've went through that process.
Mm-hmm.
There could be a fruit bat flying around in here, and I'll say, "Danny, he's all yours. Go for it. Watch the wings. Make sure it doesn't bite you." Yeah. Scary stuff.